Breaking news. What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here. And today we're taking a look at Ravencoin. And today things are not looking good for the Ravencoin chain. What is going on? Let's have a look. All right, guys, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button, thumbs up button, bell notification. At any time you see something interesting or hear something, comment down below and share this video around. But I did get a DM from Allfather pointing this out, and then it posted us to his post here, and he found a bunch of critical issues and stuff here. And it does look like, look at the time. So 4:34 a.m. August 10th. This is based on my time looking at this. So this was, about 7 hours ago based on the time of recording and stuff here. And then coming into Ravencoin, they just finally posted something about this an hour ago. And they were informed about this a while ago, but they're just letting us kind of know about it right now. So anyway, we did some investigative research with AI, and here's what turned up. All right, so here is a post that we got rid up with all the available information that I know of so far, and I will have this link down below, but this is available at rabidmining.com, the home of pretty much every crypto mining tool you will ever need, because we're trying to make a one-stop shop for all crypto and AI compute people. Anyway, coming in here, we can see Ravencoin under attack, KAWPOW exploit forces emergency chain split. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound very good. So coming in here, we can see an actively exploited Ravencoin consensus flaw has allowed Malformed Blocks into the network, caused node synchronization problems, and pushed two miners to release its own emergency fix and roll the blockchain back to the last known clean block. Now, another thing as we go through this, that at this point, the chain, I think, pretty much forked. Now there's kind of two chains going on, and obviously two miners is the only pool mining on the correct chain, if that makes sense. But let's get into this. So Ravencoin is dealing with a serious network level security problem after a flaw in its KAWPOW proof of work validation was actively exploited on mainnet. Now, a lot of you guys are probably questioning, what do you mean here? That means if KAWPOW is doing this, what about all the forks that use KAWPOW? There are people asking about Quai, and Allfather does confirm that he thinks Quai is passed. Spiro also, but not sure how Raven wasn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. This is like their algorithm. So how is Raven not passed for this? But we do have Quai and Firo is passed from this. So I do want to point that out, that it sounds like they are, but I'm not 100% sure on the other situation. So Quai Network or anyone, if you're out there, Firo, I don't think we really care about it anymore. They mostly went POS, but any of you guys, if you do confirm that this is passed, let us know in the comment section if you see this or if someone points this video towards them, because it's a pretty big deal because it's an algorithm issue. All right, so Ravencoin is dealing with this issue here, obviously on mainnet. So this is simply not a pool outage or a miner submitting a few bad shares. The vulnerability affects the way Ravencoin determines whether a block has performed the proof of work it claims to have performed. According to an investigation and emergency software release published by two miners, exploitation began around August 7th, 2026, and Malformed Blocks have continued appearing in the chain. The situation has now become serious enough that two miners had released its own past Ravencoin client and started mining a replacement blockchain from the last block it considers clean. The official Ravencoin account has also acknowledged the issue quite a bit time later, which I kind of pointed at you there. All links for all these things will be down at the bottom of this article, which we'll show you in a minute here. But what actually happened? So Ravencoin uses the KAWPOW mining algorithm, a GPU-oriented proof of work system based on ProgPow. Inside a KAWPOW block header is a value describing the block's height. The problem is that Ravencoin was not adequately verifying that the height declared inside the KAWPOW header actually matched the block's real height in the blockchain. So this has been there since day one, pretty much. Remember, with AI emerging, all these people are finding all these loopholes and issues with these blockchains and crypto wallets. That opened the door to do a very unusual attack. Ravencoin uses checkpoints and optimized validation for older blocks, so nodes do not need to repeatedly perform the full expensive KAWPOW calculation for blockchain history that has already been established. According to two miners, an attacker discovered that a new block could lie about its height and trigger this cheaper validation path. That means an attacker could produce a block that nodes accepted without performing the complete memory hard KAWPOW work normally required by KAWPOW. We're seeing a lot of chains that are pretty much miners emerging where it's not even doing half the stuff they're supposed to do and getting a lot of increase in hash rate. So it's pretty crazy what's happening right now. So anyway, in simple terms, the attacker found a way to make Ravencoin believe expensive GPU mining work has been performed when it had not. So I'm doing the work, I swear. Trust me, bro, is what the GPU miner is doing to the blockchain. Oh, that's pretty crazy. So that is a consensus level problem. So the attack already happened. This is not a theoretical vulnerability that researchers discovered before anyone could use it. Two miners identified what it considers the first exploited block as block 4.4,087,776, August 7th, 2026 at 15:44:01 UTC time. The previous block, 4,487,775, is being treated by two miners as the last known clean block here. Two miners also now analyze a section of the affected blockchain between blocks 4,489,527 and 4,491,615. Out of 2,089 blocks examined, it says it found 96 malformed blocks. That is approximately 4.6% of the sample blocks, or roughly one affected block every 22 blocks. That is far beyond somebody experimenting with the exploit once or twice. Someone appears to have been repeatedly using it. So why is this more serious than cheat mining? The attacker potentially being able to obtain block rewards without performing the real KAWPOW workload is already a major problem. But the malformed blocks create another problem that may be even more damaging to the network. They can break Ravencoin nodes. So that don't sound good at all. When one of the exploited blocks first arrives, the node can validate it using the false height contained in the block header. However, Ravencoin's block database also knows where the block actually belongs in the chain. When a node restarts and reconstructs that information, the real blockchain height can be used instead of the fraudulent one. Suddenly, the block no longer validates correctly. Affected nodes can reportedly encounter errors, including error loading block database, and fail to start normally. So it'll be interesting to see if people are getting errors like this in the Ravencoin Discord or something. Nodes can also have trouble catching up. Ravencoin nodes that fall behind the network may face another problem. Because malformed blocks contain inconsistent height information, reconstructed block headers may no longer match that following blocks expect. That can produce errors such as non-continuous headers resequence. A node trying to synchronize may begin rejecting or penalizing peers that are actually sending it the blockchain those peers believe is valid. That means this vulnerability doesn't just affect mining rewards, it can interfere with something fundamental. Ravencoin nodes being able to restart and synchronize with the network. So two miners released its own emergency fix here, which we kind of talked about earlier here. Now, rather than wait for the official Ravencoin Core release, two miners created and published Ravencoin Core 4.6.1.1-HF1. So the emergency version introduces several changes designed to stop the exploit and recover affected nodes. So they're acting faster than Ravencoin themselves. Most importantly, starting at block 4,487,776, the height declared inside the KAWPOW header must match the block's actual height in the blockchain. If it does not match, the block is rejected. Two miners also added block 4,487,775 as a new checkpoint. That represents the last block before the first exploit it identified. The emergency client can also remove bad block index records, discard broken descendants, rebuild chain state when necessary, and rebuild Ravencoin asset databases that may otherwise conflict during the recovery process. But two miners did more than patch the bug. This is the most important part of the story. Two miners did not simply say, from this block forward, we reject the exploit. Its emergency client rejects the exploited history beginning at block 4,487,776. That means patched nodes fall back to block 4,487,775 and begin building a replacement blockchain from there. In other words, Ravencoin is facing an emergency blockchain rollback and chain split. The blockchain continuing and exploiting blocks continues to exist on nodes that still accept it. Two miners, meanwhile, is mining an alternative chain where those blocks never happen. So here's where the big thing is. There's two chains happening right now. A bunch of miners on every other pool, and then you got two miners. Everyone else, let's just have a quick look here. I'm going to come up and bring up mining pool stats just to get an idea of what things may be looking like on Ravencoin right now. So we got where is two miners? We got two miners right here. Oh wait, that's pool two miners. Where is two miners, Ravencoin? Are they not? Oh, they're probably down here saying something different because they got an error because they're not running this chain. So everything on this chain is two miners right here. Yeah, invalid block height. So they're not even on here. So everyone here right now that I guess that's currently mining, this is an invalid chain. This is the chain where the bug exists. So things are going to happen now. The team and everyone's going to have to figure out what's going on. But pretty much this whole chain here could get rolled back or deleted. And the two miners chain is probably going to be the one that's adapted and become the new main chain. So there's a big decision to happen because look at all this hash rate that's hashing away on Ravencoin right now. And it's all these major pools where two miners is the only one that fixed it, and they fix it themselves. So the Ravencoin team has a decision to make on what to do moving forward. Are you currently mining Ravencoin right now, and do you even know what's going on? Maybe it's time to turn off or something. All right, so now coming back into here, two Ravencoin histories are now competing. So when Rabid Mining checked the live network during the incident, the difference between pools was enormous. So it wasn't really me. I don't know why it's saying that. This was actually All Father, so I'm going to have to put an edit in there. But two miners was showing Ravencoin height around 4,488,165, while F2 pool was reporting approximately 4,491,972. That is a difference of roughly 3,800 blocks. Those snapshots were not necessarily captured at the same second, but a difference of thousands of Ravencoin blocks cannot be explained by ordinary network propagation. It strongly indicates that different infrastructure is following incapable blockchain histories. One chain contains the blocks two miners considers exploited, the other rejected them and began again from block 4,487,775. What this means for Ravencoin miners is that for Ravencoin miners, pool choice suddenly matters much more than usual. And most of them probably don't even know what's going on. Like, do you seriously answer in the comments below? Do you even know this is happening right now? Because probably not. Anyway, normally choosing between large pools mostly affects things like fees, payout method, server location, minimum payout, luck, reliability. During a chain split, the pool can also determine which blockchain your GPUs are actually securing. Two miners is clearly supporting its repaired chain. Other pools may still be following the original history unless they updated their Ravencoin software and agreed to the same fork rules. Miners should verify which chain their pool is supporting rather than assuming every Raven pool is currently on the same blockchain. Based on what I showed you earlier, everything with invalid height could be on the new fix that two miners did, and everything that we see hashing is still on the exploited chain. So what is the official Ravencoin team doing? When the issue first surfaced, one of the major concerns was the lack of an immediate official response. That has now changed. The official Ravencoin X account has acknowledged this incident. That is important, but acknowledgement and releasing the coordinated consensus fix are two different things. At the time of this article, Ravencoin's official GitHub release page still listed Ravencoin Core 4.7.0, released on June 14, 2026, as the latest official release. The emergency 4.6.1.1-HF1 client is a two miners maintained release, not an official Ravencoin project release. The next major step will be seen by the Ravencoin developers endorse the same repair rules and the same rollback points. So we're talking about a rollback here. Now, is this a 51% attack? Not in the traditional sense, because this isn't a hash rate overtaking the network thing. This is a much deeper thing. A normal 51% attack happens when someone obtains enough legitimate proof of work hash rate to overpower honest miners. The situation is different. The attacker appears to be exploiting a flaw in how Ravencoin validates KAWPOW itself. We're seeing this, like I said, mentioned earlier. We saw this on a lot of coins so far. Instead of obtaining enormous legitimate GPU hash rate, the attacker discovered a way to make certain blocks appear acceptable without performing all the computational work Ravencoin expects. So it's getting credited for all the work, but only doing half the work, that makes this a consensus validation vulnerability rather than simply someone renting enough GPUs to overpower the network. So are Ravencoin wallets being drained? Nope, nothing in the technical information reviewed by Rabid indicates that this vulnerability exposes anything to do with your wallet here. So this should not be described as someone hacking people's Ravencoin wallets. This is strictly to do with the blockchain and stuff. So you don't have to worry about your wallets right now, but all the coins you're mining, depending on the chain you're on, could be invalid coins. That's why you're probably wasting power right now. KAWPOW is a very power intensive algorithm. I just shut your rigs off and see what happens. But that's me. What happens to transactions after the rollback? This is where things become complicated. If the wider Ravencoin ecosystem eventually agrees that the 2 chain is correct, then blocks after 4,487,775 on the abandoned chain would effectively be orphaned, which means not existent, not happening. So where are we at right now, actually? So we're at 4.487. Let's see here. 4,491,982. So we're quite a few blocks past all this point here. That does not automatically mean every normal transaction made during that period is permanently lost. Many transactions can potentially return to the mempool and be mined again into the new chain. But if you're a solo miner, that could suck. However, their original confirmations disappear. Mining rewards from orphan blocks are different. If a block does not exist in the final accepted blockchain, its Coinbase mining reward does not exist there either. Transactions that depend on outputs that only existed on the abandoned blockchain could also become invalid. This is why exchanges, pools, and users need to be extremely careful with recent confirmation until the Ravencoin ecosystem settles on one chain here for the most part. So right now, all these exchanges should, in theory, be shut down. They should not be, let's click on MEXC here and see, are they still accepting, are they doing trading and stuff here? I don't know. Claim now, blah, blah, blah. Let's just try to do a quick deposit here. Hold on a second. All right, so actually looking at Ravencoin on MEXC, it is suspended. So that's a good thing because we don't know which chain is going to be what. And all these exchanges are going to have to adopt the chain that ultimately becomes the main chain once the split happens. So yeah, no exchange should have coins in it right now. If you have coins going to an exchange, stop it if you can. Don't plan on selling any coins. Don't send any coins to any exchanges. They should all be suspended anyway. But if you have coins sitting in an exchange, that's a different question. I don't want to say, rug pull Ravencoin, but they could vanish depending when you sent them. So you might want to just send them to USDT or something, swap them over to something else. Because if it's recent transactions within those blocks, they could disappear. So that's just a warning out there for that. Now, if those transactions went in before of that 4.4 million, 87,000, whatever block it was, then they should still be safe at the exchange. All right, guys, so we're almost done here. Don't worry. So what needs to happen next? Ravencoin now needs coordination between core developers, mining pools, exchanges, explorers, node operators, miners. Pretty much everything needs to figure out what are we going to do and take that route. Everyone's going to have to update their nodes to whatever direction they go to and all that. So will Ravencoin project officially adopt the 2 fix? Will this block height here? Remember, if I said if any transactions were on an exchange before this, they should be safe. Become the agreed rollback point? Will the major mining pools move into the patch chain? Will the chain which chain will exchanges recognize for deposits and withdrawals? Will an official Ravencoin core emergency release be published? What happens to blocks, transactions, and mining payouts created during the affected period? If everyone quickly converges on one set of rules, Ravencoin can reunify around one blockchain. If major pools, developers, exchanges disagree about the recovery plan, the chain split could become much more complicated, and we could ultimately see another Ravencoin Classic and other garbage stuff like that. Anyway, Rabid mining summary here is this is far more serious than a temporary mining pool problem. Ravencoin security is based on the idea that producing a valid KAWPOW block requires miners to perform a real amount of expensive GPU computation. The exploit discovered on the network appears to violate that assumption. According to 2 miners, so it's pretty much a sum of everything we went through here, guys. But here are all the sources for everything. So here's a link to the GitHub. to the 2 miners fix here. Here's the official Ravencoin statement on X. So if you click on that, obviously, there is Ravencoin statement, and you can see all that. So all the links and everything to all the information stuff that's available is here on this post as well. So what do you guys think about this whole situation unfolding? If you guys have any other news or something breaking or anything that's going on that we need a Rabid investigation to go check out, send me a DM in Discord. That link and everything is in the description, and we will get in on it on their top news stories. So again, were you aware that this was happening? Are you currently a Ravencoin miner? Be sure to take the appropriate steps to make sure your funds are safe. Thank you for watching this. Share it all around, guys. Hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys on the next one. Rabid out.